Hey, welcome back. I thought it could be fun to draw some of these prompts together from the Choose Your Doodle challenge. This is a monthly art challenge that I post on Instagram and it goes out in my newsletter. It's on my website. And these are the prompts for September. So I thought it could be fun to doodle some of these together. I want to draw the pumpkin mug today, but put in the comments below which prompts you would like to draw with me and then we'll doodle them. So you can make your canvas whatever size you wish. I'm just going to make mine screen size. Actually, I'll make it a square because then I can post it easily on Instagram. So I have one saved right here called Instagram post and it's 1080 by 1080 pixels and that will work perfect for this. So first I like to sketch out a design. I'm going to grab my sketching pencil here, and if you need brushes and stuff you can go in the Doodle Squad, and I have tons and tons of free brushes and sketching pencils and Procreate goodies and stuff. So go to my website and then the freebies tab. I'll have a link in the description, and I have all kinds of fun free Procreate goodies for you there. And I think this brush is in there too. I definitely have sketching pencils if it's not this specific one. Okay, so I want to fill this page with like a lot of different mugs. And I want to try like that shape, and then maybe like a coffee shop paper cup. So like that, make a little like hole for the mouth. I mean for the well yeah, for your mouth. I was gonna say so I could draw the steam coming out. And then a paper sleeve kind of thing so you don't burn your hands. And then on here is where I'm going to put my little pumpkin. Okay, and I should be drawing these each in their own individual layer. So make yours the right way. I'm just going to move this one up into its own layer by selecting it and then swiping 3 fingers down, pushing cut and paste, and now they're in their individual layers. So I can move them around the canvas or resize them or whatever, because they're obviously pretty big for this canvas. So I would like to resize them. But I'm just going to keep going for now. So the next one, let's draw like an actual pumpkin mug, like a ceramic mug that's shaped like a pumpkin. And I just remembered, I think I have one like this. I gotta go look. I was cleaning out my mug collection and I took out a bunch of mugs from my cabinet last fall. Well, actually what happened, okay, this is embarrassing. So I have so many that the shelf broke. The shelf was breaking, like the little pegs, like to hold up the shelf. Um, that failed, and so all these mugs, like all my favorite mugs, oh my goodness, they almost all came like crashing down. And thankfully, my husband was like nearby because I was like holding up the shelf, like help. So and not one was injured. We saved all the mugs, but I took out a lot of my holiday mugs and put them in a box, and I was kind of like testing myself to see like if I would even miss them. Like would I even miss most of these mugs? And I guess I haven't because I completely forgot about a lot of them until I just started drawing this. And but I think I would keep like special ones like for holidays, but they don't need to be in the cabinet year round. I guess that's my point. Now I gotta go look and see if I have a pumpkin one. Oh, it's not a mug. I know what it is. It's not a pumpkin mug. It's like a pumpkin shaped ceramic I don't know, bowl or serving bowl, or I don't even know what to call it. But I use it on Thanksgiving and I put like green beans or mashed potatoes or something like that in it. So it's not a mug. Okay, so I don't know, maybe something like that. This looks incredibly hard to drink out of, but I guess that it doesn't matter because it is fake, so it doesn't have to all make sense. But I might like make that a little more flat on top when I go to color it in, and then we'll have to leave like room for some steam. And maybe we should give it like a face. Like maybe it can be like a jack-o'-lantern kind of mug. I don't know. That could be cute. All right, so we have 3 here to mess around with, and that seems like all that's gonna really work for this page anyway, unless I make them really tiny, but I kind of want to play around with like adding details that you'll actually be able to see when it's posted. When they're super tiny, a lot gets lost when you post it, but you could always draw your elements full size, like color them in full size, and then duplicate them and shrink them down to fit on the canvas, because then you're able to have a bigger file for multiple uses. So if you wanted to do like stickers or prints or even use these elements in a pattern, then they're not super tiny, and you can't like make it bigger. Once you reduce it, it'll be blurry if you resize it and make it larger in Procreate. You can do it in other apps. If you're drawing in a different app, then it's fine, but it doesn't work in Procreate. So I think I will color these full size, in which case I don't know why I'm arranging them on the canvas like this, but anyway, this is what I got. My final piece is going to look something or other like this, and then I'll probably have like a couple like sparkles and um, just other fun stuff in here, maybe like some leaves, just to make it look more fall. And I don't know, maybe like an acorn or something. Or I shouldn't draw it in that layer. I should go back to my mug and just draw it the right way on the mug layer. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good for fall elements. And then we can just go ahead and start coloring it. Okay, so I'm going to make a new layer for coloring. I kind of want to make these big. So what I think I'll do is copy my canvas and save like the way I arrange these. So go up to the actions menu, the wrench, push copy canvas, and then in this new layer that I just made, layer 5, I'm just going to go ahead and swipe down and push paste. This is what I could work from for coloring, but I really want to make them big because I think I might make stickers out of them. So I'll use this layer here for arranging at the end and drawing in like those little elements like this leaf and the sparkles and whatever. Did I say leaf? I meant to say leaf. 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 I know the word. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this one that looks like a coffee shop cup, and I just want it to be straight, not rotated. You wouldn't want to do that with your final art because it's going to pixelate it. So let's do like that. And I'd like to turn off my background, but I think it's going to be too hard for you guys to see if I do that. So I'll leave white. And I'm going to set it to multiply. Turn the opacity down. I got it at like 23%. Just make it low so that you have a guide of where you're going to draw, but it's not where it's covering up where you are making your edges and your lines. Make it so you can see what you're actually drawing. And then I'm going to put a layer right below it. Okay, so let's grab like a cream color, like a really light off-white. And this one seems good. If you want the hex code, it's, oh my gosh, I need my glasses. Okay, it's FFF7E0. Okay, so I'm gonna grab, this time I just want the monoline brush. It's free with Procreate in the calligraphy section of the library, and that makes nice clean edges. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make my outline with the monoline, but feel free to use whatever brush you like. As I've said, I have tons of free ones for you available over on dianamcdermott.com/freebies. Feel free to go shopping. Everything's free. You just download what you want and call it a day. That looks good. The lid is going to be white. Now I can't draw it white because um I can't see. So I'm gonna turn my background off now. And then I can draw my white lid in. And you guys can kind of still see what I'm doing. Okay, the shape looks funky. I'm just going to use my eraser to go back in and clean it up. So you can go back in with a little eraser and just like fix up your edges and stuff to make them nice and crisp. And then I need like a little bit of a darker color. I'm just going to grab this gray. It's showing through from my original sketch. And then I need a line to show like where this part of the cup that goes out. It's pretty exaggerated here, but I want to make a line there. And then up here on the top where it kind of like goes down in, where it's recessed, I guess I should say. And then I want to drop my color in there, but it's spilling out. So I just slide to the left until it goes in just the area I want. Something like that. Okay, now we need this like sleeve thing. So I'm gonna make, I could do it in the same layer as the lid. I do like to minimize my layers just because it keeps things more organized. This brown's pretty good for the sleeve. So this is C99954 if you want to use the same shade of brown. Oh, and the way you do that, I guess I should tell you. So just tap on the color, go to value, and then tap on the hexadecimal field, and then just type in the one I just told you, and it'll give you this shade of brown. Okay, so that'll be like my little cup sleeve, and then I want to make a pumpkin on it. I'm just going to make a new layer because I don't want the pumpkin to be attached to the sleeve yet. I probably need to move it around. And then I like to make like a vine. I like to make it like quirky, so that's my little pumpkin vine. And that's my first pumpkin coffee. And I'll go in and add like little details and shading next. But for now, I just want to get these like colored in with the clean lines, and then I'll go back in and add details after. So I think that is looking okay. I'm just going to go ahead and group it up into a folder in case I need to adjust anything. I don't want to merge it down quite yet. And I like to name my folders. I suggest if you can't name every layer, sometimes it's not necessary. Like, obviously, this is a pumpkin. You can clearly see that's the sleeve and the lid and the cup. But when you start getting lots and lots of layers, it does get a little confusing. So I like to, at the very least, name my folders. But I also usually name all these too, because when your canvas starts getting really big and full, these elements can be kind of hard to see sometimes, or a little, if in your menu here. So I'll just name my folder in this case. So tap on it, push rename, and I'm just gonna call it coffee shop cup. It's like a paper cup from the coffee shop. Okay. And let's see, who else do we need to draw? Let's do this one with the acorn next. So this is you, and let's see, I want to make it big. So just enlarge it here. And again, never do this with your final illustrations. It's going to be completely wrecked and blurry. But for sketch, it's fine. And then I just want to turn off all my other sketches, set this to a low opacity and multiply. Make a layer below it, and that's where I'll draw in this little mug. So I want this to be like a light pink color. This is a color that I use often that I really like. And it is FFCBCC if you want to use the same one. I also have lots of color palettes over on my. Did I just change the color on you? No. I think I did. FFE 5E6. That's what I'm using. And I have lots of colors over on my freebies also, lots of palettes. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then let's just make the coffee inside of the cup. I would normally do that in a separate layer, but in this case, I'm just going to drop it in all in one layer just to keep things simplified, especially since I'm drawing multiple icons on the same page. I don't want to waste layers or run out of layers. Okay, and then I think we need to do our little acorn on the front of the cup. And I want to do it a non-traditional color, so I'm just going to grab a bright pink. In this case, I'll do it in a new layer because I'll probably need to move it a little bit to center it up and make it exactly where I want it. Okay, I think that looks pretty cute. And then I'll grab a darker blue and I'm going to use this dry ink brush that I like. It's in the inking section of the brush library and it's free with Procreate. Then just add in some little details here on the acorn. I like to do my stuff in crazy colors, but you can feel free to draw a regular colored acorn on there or something different. Okay, so I do need to move it around. So I'll just kind of scooch it down till it looks like it's in the right spot on the mug. So something like that. Then I want to put some cream in my coffee. So I'll grab like kind of like an off-white color and I'll stick with the dry ink brush. And I want to do it on the layer with the coffee, not on the acorn. Just kind of do like a swirly kind of thing in here. Well, that's kind of bold. Maybe I'll do in a layer over top and then it's easier like for you to reduce the opacity. Okay, that looks pretty cute. It's kind of bright, so just turn it down a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good for that mug. So just check it by turning the sketch layer off. And I think that looks good. You can leave it in layers like this and group it up into its own individual folder. I guess I'll do that since the other one's in its own folder like that. This isn't a whole ton of layers or anything. And I'm going to name my folder so I can keep track. Okay, so that one's done. Let's move on to this cute little pumpkin. So I'll set that layer to multiply and then turn the opacity down pretty low and then make a layer underneath. And that's where I'm going to draw. I'm just going to grab this orange and go back to the monoline brush and make my pumpkin shape. And if you wanted this to be like super symmetrical, you could use the symmetry tool. It's up here in the actions menu. Then you push canvas, drawing guide, edit drawing guide. Down here, you'd push symmetry, and then you can actually move this little blue node. You move it to the center of where whatever your object you're drawing. And then when you draw on one side, it'll repeat on the other side. And then you'd be able to make this perfectly symmetrical like that. I don't really care if mine's a little wonky. I kind of want it to be, so I'm not going to use the symmetry tool. So I'm just going to go up here, turn it back off, and then check in your layers to tap on the layer and turn it back off there as well. Okay, so I want my mug to look something like that, even though it looks impossible to actually drink out of. Like there's no way you could actually drink out of this as a coffee mug, but I think it looks cute anyway. And then I just use my eraser tool to break my lines so I can color drop and it'll just flood the whole area and then I don't have to worry about going into the individual sections. And then I think I want the handle to be brown, so I'll just grab this brown here and I'm going to make it in a layer behind my mug. Just so I can kind of scooch it in and hide some of it and move it around a little bit easier. We need some coffee in the mug. I don't see the color that I liked before for the coffee, so I'm just going to go back out here and grab that like light tan kind of shade and make a new layer on the top and put in my coffee there. So it would be something like that. And I think I'll put a little cream in it and maybe a darker shade too. So this time I'm going to work in my coffee layer, but I'm going to alpha lock it so that I can kind of scribble around in it and not worry about going outside of the lines. I think that looks good. And then maybe a darker shade for um, the coffee too. So I'll just grab the dark brown that I used for the handle here and then just reduce the opacity a little bit. I've got it like halfway down. Just kind of make this more like swirly. This could be really cute too with like whipped cream on top. That could be fun to add. And that would also cover this back part of the mug that looks like completely impossible to drink out of. But I think I'll leave it like this for now and see how it looks. And we could always add whipped cream at the end. Okay, and now I need my little pumpkin face. So I'll make a layer on top of my pumpkin mug, grab black, the monoline brush. I kind of like his eyes like that. I might just leave it like that. I didn't really want it to look like completely like a jack-o'-lantern, so I think that might be a good compromise to have the eyes like that where it's kind of cutesy. And then let's get something for the cheeks. This bright pink would be cute. Okay, I like that. And we just need a little bit of detail for the sections of the pumpkin. So I'll make a new layer again on top of my pumpkin mug, grab that same orange, and then set my layer to multiply and use that same color orange that we used to color the mug. And then I'll just kind of like put in these lines here that indicate the sections of the pumpkin and a little bit of this detail here, like a little bit of cross hatching and stuff to show the shadow. And I just noticed my brush is actually turned halfway down on the opacity there, which I didn't intend to do, but it actually worked out fine. But always check that first so you don't have to redraw anything if you wanted it to be darker or whatever. Okay, see how that looks without the sketch. It's pretty good. I actually want it to be even lighter, so I'm going to tap on that layer and reduce it even further. So it's just like a hint of the shadows and stuff. So I think that's okay. And then we need some steam. So what I like to do for steam is use my select tool to draw the steam coming out and then grab like a really textured brush to make the mist. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up first. So I want to get this light blue to use for the steam, and then I would like to use like a really textured brush. I'm going to grab one from, let's see, one of the ones I've made here. I know I have a good one that'll do texture. If you're one of my patrons, you can use the brush that's called Sandy Texture. If you're not, then you can use any kind of brush that has like some noise to it. So they have some good ones here in the charcoal section, and that comes free with Procreate. So you could grab one of these charcoals, like the burnt tree could work well. Or if you go in to the spray paints, you could use the one called Flicks. And there's a noise brush here in this section that says materials. There's one called noise brush. That could work well too. Okay, so I'll go ahead and use my select tool. I'm going to set it on freehand and just kind of draw like the wavy line for the steam coming off of the coffee cup. So I want to draw like squiggly S kind of shapes going up and then coming back down, and connect it back down and tap the little dot there to close off your shape. And what I wanted to try to do was keep these areas thin, and then right here where it goes around the curve, keep that kind of thick, and that looks nice for steam. So then while that is selected, I'm going to make a new layer and grab my brush, my texture brush, and turn it up all the way, and then just kind of scribble over top of the area that I've selected, and that will help make my steam, but it keeps it kind of transparent. So when you deselect, you'll see that it looks like hazy kind of, especially if you turn off the background. So I like to do it that way. And you can even take it and turn the opacity down a little bit so it looks like even more like steam or mist. Okay, so I think that little guy might be done. Maybe we need to add just like a little bit more shading to the back part of the mug to kind of set it apart. So I'll go back to my dry ink brush and just kind of darken this up back here. And then we can just use a clipping mask so it doesn't go out of the lines and look all messy. Okay, that little guy's cute. I think I'm gonna add some shines, but I'll do that. I'll come back in and add extra details at the end to kind of like come back and see where stuff is needed. For now, just move on to the next cup and go from there. Okay, so we are actually done with our mugs. All we have left are these little leaves. So I'm just going to make a new layer for those. Set that to multiply, turn it down, and then use the monoline brush and orange. You can always change the color later too. And then just kind of like trace a jaggedy shape around for the leaf. And just making all three of these on the same layer. Okay, and then our sparkles. I'm going to go with pink. You can always recolor it later on. If you want to change out the colors, it's pretty easy to recolor. I just want to get the shapes drawn in. So I think I'll grab a little bit of a darker orange here just to put this center stem through the leaf. And then that's pretty good. So let's just go back through and check all of our mugs and see if there's shines and other details that we need to add. Okay, so let's go back through and look at our layers. I want to look at my coffee shop cup here first and just make sure it has everything I wanted. I do like to make like a little hole for the coffee to come out of. I think I forgot to do that. And then where I can put steam coming out too. So in the lid, I just want to grab this dark gray and just add like a little kind of like um, spout, or what would you call this? Little hole for you to drink your coffee. Okay, and then that provides like a good opportunity to add some steam coming out there or something. And then the other thing I'm going to do is add a little detail to this cardboard sleeve. I'll grab my dry ink brush again, and I want to make it like have the zigzaggy kind of stuff on the edges to make it look like it's corrugated. Okay, it's kind of bothering me how it doesn't go to like wrap around the cup here. Okay, so something like that. And then the pumpkin is a little high there. Okay, so maybe he could be like here, and a few more details on the cardboard. Maybe like some of these like lines for some texture. And I feel like the pumpkin needs a little something too. So I'll make a new layer on top of the pumpkin, set it to multiply, and just siphon up that orange color. And then just kind of add some little like texture bits here and there. And you could do it for all your colors. You just siphon it up and do it all in that multiply layer, and that's a really quick and easy way. Okay, I feel like that looks better. I'm more happy with that. And if you wanted to go crazy, you could add details on the cup itself too, like a little box that says like regular decaf. Um, I don't know what else would they have on there, but you could add like a little box here, and then maybe your name. So that cup looks pretty good, and I'm just going to turn off that layer and turn on my folder for the acorn mug. Right away, I notice a problem here, so let's fix that. That's why it's good to turn off your background layer sometimes too, especially if you have it on dark mode or you put a black layer behind so you can see if there's mistakes like that. Okay, overall, I'm pretty happy with this one. I just want to add a little bit of shines and stuff, so I'm just going to grab white, my dry ink brush, and I guess I'll leave it at full opacity because you could always reduce the opacity over in your layers panel, and just add like a few shines and stuff here and there on the handle, on the side, and on the rim. So just notice this right there. Okay, yeah, that looks good, I think. And then maybe you could grab that same color, set a layer to multiply, add in some texture and shadows and just fun little details there. And I guess I better do it with my dry ink brush so it's consistent. Maybe this mug even has like a little crack in it. They don't want to get rid of it because it's so cute. It's like their favorite mug. Sometimes my handle even will break off and I just super glue it back on if it's one of my favorite mugs. I have quite a few like that actually. Okay, so I'm gonna make that one have like a faulty handle too. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Let's move on and let's do the pumpkin mug. Okay, and I think I want to try to put a little bit of whipped cream. We can just put a little in the middle so that you can still see the back of the mug, some of the coffee, and the steam. So I'll put it in a layer that's, let's see, it'll be on top of or underneath the coffee, but on top of the mug because I drew it all in one layer. So the back of the mug is in the same layer as the front. So I put it there and then just grab a cream kind of color, really light color, and then just, oops, it's got to go in front of the coffee. In front of the coffee, but behind the steam. And so then I'll just put kind of like these curvy kind of shapes, kind of like icing on a cupcake or something until it gets to the top. And then it can be like this cute little point. And then we need some shading. So I'm just going to grab that coffee color. And that's at 50% opacity. Just draw in a little bit of like the layers. So it looks like it's kind of like squirted out, like a little swirly whipped cream kind of thing. I think that looks cute. It almost looks like hair too. So that one looks done to me. Well, maybe we should put a shine. So I'll put it on top of that multiply layer. And in fact, the multiply layer could just be merged down. And then I have a layer on top of the pumpkin mug that will be for like my shines and stuff. So I'll just grab white. I got my dry ink and then just put like little bits here and there just to make the mug look glossy. All right, I think that's pretty good. Sometimes a little bit goes a long way. So now I have all of my elements. Looks like I have a lot of layers to spare. What I might do here is either export each one of these as a PNG file with a transparent background. So you would just select your folder, make sure everything else is turned off, including your background color, and click the actions menu, which is the wrench, and then share and export as a PNG, and then it'll export and save to your camera roll. The other thing you could do is actions, which is the wrench, add copy canvas, and that will copy everything you see here. And in a new layer, I'm just going to swipe 3 fingers down, or you can go up here to the actions menu again and push paste, or there's paste in this menu over here. And now I have my pumpkin in its own flattened individual layer, and I'll do that for each one of my mugs. Okay, so now I have all 3 of my mugs in their own flattened layer, and I can use them to make my artwork or a pattern or stickers or whatever. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to work with that. And then you have your backup of your whole folder here with all of your layers intact, and that's your original that you're not going to touch or mess with. You can just work with these ones you created that are flattened. So I want to arrange them on my page, but really quick, this is like a bonus tip. I'll show you how you can make an outline for stickers in a layer right below your artwork. You can grab a white color and the monoline brush and just draw a border. If you are just cutting these by hand, you don't necessarily need to do this because you could just arrange them on a page like an 8.5 by 11 sheet, an 8.5 by 11 canvas, I should say, and then print it on a sheet of sticker paper, and then just cut it with scissors. Like you would just arrange as many stickers as you can on a page and then cut it out with scissors. If you're using a Cricut, then it needs a border so it knows where to cut. And so I would be making these borders more for Cricut versus cutting by hand. So you would make kind of like border with a good size bleed here so the machine doesn't cut into your design at all. And that's how I would set up files for my Cricut machine. But today we are just going to arrange these on a page to make a cute piece of artwork. So I need my background color turned back on, and instead of changing my color here and making it pink or whatever color you want your background to be, you can make it in a new layer that's all the way in the bottom. So I'll just make a new layer and drag it all the way down so it's on top of my background color layer, but I'm just going to drop in whatever color I want, and I find that much easier to work with. So I'm going to try that pink, and I can see this theme isn't really going to show up very well on that. So I might have to adjust some things there, but for now I want to try to do the pink, and I might darken up areas so that the later objects like that steam or whatever will show up. So that's the color I'm planning to work with. We'll see, because one of those cups is pink, so I don't know if it's going to work out, but I'm going to just start arranging these on the page, and I'm working with those duplicates that I've flattened, not my original layers. So let's turn the sketch back on so we kind of know like where to place these things. And I can see my little pumpkin guy goes like somewhere over here. And if you set it to multiply, it won't be so opaque over top of your designs. And then let's place this acorn mug, which is completely blending into the background because I chose pink. So for now, let's just switch out the color, and this makes it easy because I can just tap on that layer and then just adjust things in the hue, saturation, brightness until it looks good and it has more contrast. If you're in the background color layer, I just find it kind of annoying to work with, a little bit harder, so this is easier for me. So something like that might be enough contrast, and then I might have to recolor this theme on that little pumpkin mug white. For now, let's just place in this coffee shop cup, and that looks about right. Okay, and then we already drew in the leaves. So I'll turn off the sketch layer so I can see better what I'm doing. And the little pumpkin mug guy, he needs probably white steam. So luckily I have my whole panel right here. I'm just going to duplicate that steam, drag it up here, and see if I can use that if I recolor it to white. So I'll tap on that layer and just alpha lock it here and grab white and tap on the layer again and push fill. And now you can see the contrast is much better. And let me just see if I can kind of place it in here with my pumpkin. So I'm going to do my best to get it lined up with this one. And if it doesn't perfectly line up, I don't really mind too much because with steam it would be okay if there's like a little extra here. I just don't want to have to bother with recoloring it and like reflattening the whole thing or trying to color around the whipped cream and stuff. So that looks pretty good. But worst case, you just go back in your folder and you adjust it, and then you just copy your canvas and paste it in again. I'm just kind of being lazy, but I think that does the trick. And it doesn't need to be so bright, so maybe I can even take it down a little bit. And if the blue stuff underneath is distracting, you can just kind of erase some of it out. I think that looks pretty cute. So the last thing that I would do is I usually like to add a little bit of a color burn layer or a texture layer, either over top of my background color here or over top of the entire project. So I definitely want some shading and stuff behind the mugs. So I'm just going to make one over top of this background layer here, push color burn, and we can go back to the same brush that we used for this steam. So either your noise brush or your charcoal or the sandy texture brush. And I just kind of want to like scribble some texture in here in the background, especially in the center and around these mugs. I think that looks really cute. And maybe I'll add a few little white sparkles with my dry ink brush just to kind of finish things up here. And let's put those not in our color burn layer, but in a new layer. And I'm going to put it all the way in the top because I wanted to be able to overlap with the elements and not worry about being hidden behind stuff. So just kind of like add some of these guys in. And don't forget to sign your work. I usually make it in my a new layer so I can move it around, see where it looks the best. And if you're posting it, you might want to watermark it as well so nobody takes your art and claims it as their own or prints it on stuff or whatever. But I usually just go with my signature here tucked in somewhere that fits in the design. And I think this looks pretty cute. I hope you had fun drawing along with me today. If you would like to follow the other prompts on this list, I have them posted on my Instagram page where you can find me at MyMcDoodles. Tag me if you doodle so I can see what you created too. Thanks for watching. See you next time.